Hey, it's Brian Bennett. I'm a pastor. I'm also the founder of Multiply Leaders, a resourcing, coaching, and consulting company that is passionate about helping leaders unlock their potential and multiply their influence in Jesus' name. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a SMART goal, how to do it, and what are some of the key points as you seek to do that. And if you're tracking with us in our growth plan, we've just filled out the growth plan. We've thought through the vision in our life plan and some action steps. We've mapped it all out in our growth plan, and now we're getting down into an action plan that really takes it to the next level. So in our SMART goals, we want to identify a specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goal. And there's times to dream just wild, big, big, hairy, audacious goals. There's times for that, as Jim Collins identified. The goals that are so significant and so beyond where you are that it motivates you to the next level. But there's also times to come down into the weeds of life and get very specific and make it measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So we want to think about SMART goals as it relates to strengths that we want to maximize, or as we call them, growth drivers in our last video, but also areas of weakness that are limiting us. We want to spend more time on our strengths, but if there's an area in our life that's limiting us, holding us back because it's a weakness, we've got to figure out how to address it. So I'm going to walk you through the different components. The first thing is to be specific in a SMART goal. The more vague a goal is, the harder it is to get your hands on, the harder it is to schedule, the harder it is to measure, the harder it is to stay with it. When we get specific, it helps us think through the different components and takes us to another level of clarity. And clarity is empowering as we think about accomplishing our goals. So one of the SMART goals I currently have has to do with expanding my leadership capacity. So I'm a high capacity leader who's supporting the team members of those that I lead and who's able to handle a significant amount of responsibility. For that to be measurable, I've had to put some things in there. How am I going to measure being a high capacity leader? How am I going to measure someone who's highly capable and responsible? One measurable might be having people give me some feedback on their perception of my responsibility level. Am I a high capacity leader who can handle a lot of responsibility? Another thing I did to make it measurable, though, was to identify how I'm going to be a high capacity leader. And one of the keys for me is to sit down at the beginning of every week and to write out everything that every person, every area, every department that I oversee, write it all out on a list, and just every week go through that list. Just like a quarterback in the NFL is going to check through their routes, right? Their first route, and they go through each of their routes until they get to their least route that they want to choose, but they have to choose that route. But having those routes in place helps them check down and make quick decisions as they're faced with linemen coming at them. They've got to know where they're going to throw the ball. And the same is true of my leadership. I have a significant oversight of leadership. I've got to identify quickly those different areas of leadership and if I need to check in with someone. So I just made a list of all the different people, the departments, the areas that I oversee, so I can just quickly check through those lists on a weekly basis and say, is there anything in this area that I need to give leadership to this week? So it's measurable. How is it measurable? Because A, I'm going to create a list, and B, I'm going to schedule a time every week. Let's just say 9 a.m. on Mondays, I'm going to go through that list. So it's very measurable. It's very easy to get the hands on. Achievable is the next category. Is it achievable? These aren't BHAGs. These aren't the goals that are impossible to reach. We're going to put a person on the moon that are just going to drive us to a whole nother level of living. Or if you're Apple, you're going to create the next product like the iPod that's going to change the game. These are achievable goals, and they have to be something that can be measurable so they can be achievable. And if they're achievable, they're goals that we can accomplish in the next 3 to 6 months or a year, depending on when you're writing and what you're writing these goals for. So write out, how is it achievable? Well, I know it's achievable because I'm going to be able to measure this, this, and this, and accomplish it in the next 3 months. And then realistic. Is this realistic goal that you can achieve as you're thinking about your life? How is it realistic for you to accomplish this goal? And maybe you say, well, I've identified some of the obstacles and I can overcome those obstacles and I can plan this into my schedule and it's going to be realistic. And last is time bound. As you think about, when am I going to accomplish this by? There has to be a date connected. Putting a date with every goal that we have helps us. And so, yeah, every Monday I'm going to check in, but I will accomplish this goal if I'm consistent doing this for 3 months, because I know after 3 months it's going to be a habit. It's going to be built into my schedule. So it's specific, it's measurable. I know I can achieve it, it's realistic, and it's time bound. I can do this. Write out your SMART goals, and that will help you stay focused and stay on track as you're seeking to implement your growth plan into the weekly rhythms, the daily rhythms, the moment-to-moment rhythms of your life. Once you've written your SMART goals, then do whatever action steps you need to take to begin getting traction, whether that's putting it into your schedule, or that's sharing it with a boss or a coworker or a spouse or a friend. Whatever is in your action plan, just start chipping away at that. But what I found is that it's absolutely key to interweave it as deeply as you can into your life. With the systems of calendaring and your planner, whatever you do, put reminders in there and think about what reminders do you need, what support, what check-ins do you need, who do you need around you that's going to help you accomplish the goals.